Although it meant rethinking what I would present to you this evening, I was actually pleased when the American Academy, where I'm spending the semester, asked me to present a different paper to you than the one I'm going to deliver to them on November 29th. That one looks at old media, actually, and particularly on a graphic memoir that I'm finishing there. This intellectual embargo prompted the ICI to ask whether I would consider speaking on the concept of complementarity for this lecture series on complementarity. So that's what I'm going to try and do tonight. I will first discuss some of the stakes of considering difference in identity from the point of view of complementarity, and then turn to how these stakes might play out in a new media project that I've been working on with Australian Indigenous colleagues and very old friends of mine. And let me say at the very beginning, because I took this invitation seriously and somewhat literally, I'm going to make this excuse that if I fail to say anything new this evening, at least I am on topic, which is, I guess, not for nothing. Okay, so let me begin with complementarity by way of a set of other cognate concepts. As a few of you might know, I've been grappling for some time with the concepts of incommensurability, undecidability, and incoherency in the context of what I call late liberal politics of difference. What I mean by late liberalism, we can talk more after the talk, but in a nutshell, I use that phrase, late liberalism, to indicate the condition of liberal governance that emerged in the late 60s, early 70s as liberal polities and a kind of liberal sensibility or liberal imaginary more broadly responded to two major legitimacy crises. On the one hand, this liberal polities and the liberal imaginary was responding to the critique of colonialism, and the response was liberal multiculturalism, and I mean liberal multiculturalism, and in particularly the liberal politics of recognition. The other context was the reaction to what was then Keynesian liberalism in an economic sense. And we saw in the late 60s and the early 70s, especially in the Anglo-American context, the emergence of what we now call neoliberal economic policy. And that's what I mean by late liberalism, this twining together of liberal multiculturalism and neoliberalism. And I try and think of them together and what's at stake there. I've been trying to, within that framework or that kind of historical periodicity, I've been grappling with the concepts of incommensurability, undecidability, and incoherence, not as abstracted semantic or referential forces, although my background's in philosophy, and language philosophy in particular, but rather these, incommensurability, undecidability, and incoherence, as politically suffused metapragmatic phenomena. We can approach incoherency, for instance, referentially, as that which refers to a state of internal non-correspondence. So if we say what do we mean by incoherency? Well, we attribute a bodily relation to an object. So we make an object, we say it has something like a body, and then we say that it's internally non-correspondent. The pieces don't add up. But the referential semantic aspect of incoherency is, as most of you in this room know, always, and I do mean always, first, a socially infused claim about a mode of being in the world. And in liberal contexts where discourse of rationality, cultural rationality including, underpins the politics of difference, assertions of incoherency are always socially saturated accusations. That is, they're not simply claims, but they're an accusation with political implications, even where they're not explicitly stated as such and seem to be merely descriptive.